as well. So last time we spoke about the embedded system components. This time we'll know what are those components and what makes an embedded system. So the homework number 1, Pooja, are you there, Pooja?
Yes, sir, I am here, sir.
Okay, so the first homework you can wrote down.
Okay.
So the first homework, as you know, is they will do the homework to find the specification and components of their cell phone. Specifications and components of their cell phone. So make this homework and you have to submit this homework by your roll number. You write HW, you can write like this. Your the file name will be like this. HW1, then roll number, like E, I, whatever roll number you have. Okay. And then in the end, you write the date. So you upload that homework by maybe next Monday. Okay. So every Monday you will get a homework. You will upload it. So that homework will be evaluated. If you are missing a grade, suppose you are getting B grade, but there is a possibility of improving to A grade. So we'll look at the homework. So that is very important. So the homework number 1 is Pooja is going to create it for you. That is, you take up a cell phone. I will give an architecture of cell phone today. I'll show you, but you please also do the same thing with your cell phone. Don't break your cell phone. Okay. So this is homework number 1. So let me present. Today I use slides because okay. So you can see this. Okay, yesterday we spoke about this. So I spoke about the different architectures, different types of the functions of embedded system, like single function, tightly constrained with power and space. Okay, and there are lots of different characteristics like dependability, which is basically reliability and maintainability, availability, safety. They are all mathematical functions. They are not just words, they are all mathematical functions. Then there are characteristics like efficiency, efficiency in the form of energy, code size, runtime, weight, cost, etc. So for example, if I ask you, just give me a second, why this is not switching on, I don't know. There has to be somewhere to switch on this. Can you give me a second? I'll just ask someone to switch on this. Hey, Mamta. Hey, Mamta. Okay, so I think let me stop video. It's not fun.
କଣ ହେଇଗଲା ସେ ରହିକିରି
ନା ମୁଁ switch on ଥିବ
କିଛି
Adimulam Jaswant, can you hear me? How to find out the square root of a number? Can you tell me? Don't record without my permission. No recording, please. Adimulam Jaswant, can you tell me how to find out the square root of a number? X square minus a is equal to 0. A is given, find x. How to do it? Yeah. Adimulam, can you hear me? Itu kasi mo laptop ito ni guys. Adimulam, I am asking you, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, please. Can you tell me how to find out the square root of a number?
I will find out the square root from 1.
Okay, so all of you please note x square minus a is a function of x. Okay, you have to make it 0. Okay, so x square minus a, so you have to, so this is function of x. So function of x is equal to x square minus a. So you have to find the zeros of the function. Look at the chart box. Okay, so to find zeros of the function, what to do? Use some algorithm, some numerical algorithm. So one of the numerical algorithms is Newton's method. What is Newton's method? Newton's method is xn plus 1. So all of you know zeros of a function using numerical methods. Asit Gupta, any idea about Newton's method? Akshit Gupta.
Sir, I must have known, but I forgot.
Okay, so this is, you know, if you want to find out zeros of a function, xn plus 1. Okay, or you can write in bracket xn plus 1 is equal to, whatever I'm writing, please write down. 1 is equal to x of n minus f of x n by f dash xn. This is called Newton's method. Okay. So thus, if you apply this Newton's method to this, what will be the final formula, Shreya? What will be the final formula? Shreya, can you tell me? What will be if you put this f of xn, this is your function of x. What is the final formula? Work it out and let me know. Shreya, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I was finding my pen. I'm looking at it now.
Please do it. Arif Javed, where are you, Arif Javed? Arif
Yes,
Javed.
sir. Yes, sir.
Find out, compute this and tell me.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so you figure it out. So going on with this, so therefore the code size, it depends upon the algorithm which you are trying to implement. And there is this energy and runtime efficiency, weight, everything. So these are the efficiency part of the embedded system. When you design the embedded system, remember, you are going to work on these things. These are the most important things of the efficiency. There has to be cost, weight, runtime efficiency, code size, everything. All right. That is the most important thing. Then comes the dedicated user interface, which you will not have any problem because there are standard interfaces available. So you can, the code size will decide the memory because memory consumes lots of power. When we see component of embedded system, there are various components. Memory is one. After the processor, it is the memory which is most important. Okay. So then there is this. If you have a large memory, you know your power consumption will increase. You write down these points because this will come. These are some of the concepts. Then there is this dedicated user interface. So these are some of the interfaces in embedded system. Embedded system is different from the computers. Okay, the embedded system will have a computer. Generally, a computer will have a user interface which is prominent. Okay, so in case of so a computer is described by this architecture called von Neumann architecture. What is von Neumann architecture? This is input output. Okay, these are the von Neumann architecture. Input output is one of the most integral architecture, von Neumann architecture. Then CPU or the processor. Then you have got this memory. These are some of the important architectures, and this is called von Neumann architecture for modern computers. If you in the school also you know that you have an input output for user interface, and there is this, you know, there is this so you can interface here. So there is this memory and there is processor. But for embedded system, it is the following. It is the real-time processor is one of the major components. You look at it, real-time processors. Then communication with the sensors. Communication with sensors. Okay. Then user interface is a part of the communication. Okay. And then there are sensors and there are actuators. These are major components of embedded system. Apart from that, the software. So this whole thing is known as the hardware and software together is known as firmware. You look at the, you please write down everything. Whatever I am saying is not there in the slide. Okay. Sarma, what is this firmware? Can you tell me? Why are you taking so much time to respond? I don't know. Sarma. Himanshu Ranjan, can you tell me what is this firmware?
So it is a combination of all these processors, communication sensors, actuators, and
so you have not heard me properly. If you are not attentive, I will log you out. I told you. Okay. You are not attentive. If you are not attentive in this online class, I will have to take strict measures. Otherwise, you will not know, because embedded system is most important factor in deciding your job, your career. I'm telling you. Without that, you have to either become a manager. If you want to become an electrical engineer, you have to learn embedded system. You may forget machines, control system, but embedded system you have to learn. Rahul Agrawal, tell me what is this? You know, what is this firmware? Rahul Agrawal, you log him out. Pooja, Rahul Agrawal should be, you just log him out immediately.
Okay, sir.
This guy is not there. He is not in the video, so he should go. Okay. You log him out, deregister him immediately. Okay. So I am taking care of Rahul Agrawal. So I just removed from the meeting. I removed this. Okay. Rahul Agrawal is gone. Okay. Okay. Let's look at Somil Agrawal.
Yes, sir. Hardware and software together is known as firmware.
Fantastic. Very good. Thank you, Somil. You are very attentive. Hardware and software together is the firmware. The sensors, actuators, etc. are separate. That makes an embedded system. Then in the new concept, which is nowadays prevailing, is called cyber physical system, which is little ahead of embedded system. That means the physical controllable device. I mean,
second class display link software.
Display link, na? So let me use the display link so that I can write display link manager, na? This one I will switch on. Okay. Sorry. So these are the dedicated user interfaces which are ambient, which leads to actually these three things, these three concepts: ubiquitous computing, ambient intelligence, and disappearing computer. So this is what is the future of embedded system, which is being pursued right now. So I told about a cyber physical system. Let us talk about cyber physical system. You note down what I am trying to say. So a cyber physical system, let me chart out because my tab is having some problem. It is being fixed by cyber physical systems. It is the embedded controller with communication, sensors, everything, along with the physical device. For example, nowadays everything is almost computer controlled. So if you look at your microwave oven, there will be few processors, so they are computer controlled. So now the second thing is, when you are suppose there is an automotive which is also computer controlled. So the question is, if it is computer controlled, I'll just display it. Okay, you can display it so that I can write here. Okay. How to write? Sorry about it, actually. So it's Monday morning is a problem. So they are called cyber physical systems. It is basically the embedded controller. This is the physical system. PS is the physical system. This is the embedded system. And there is communication both way by sensors and actuators. Like an automotive. In automotive, there is an engine control unit or electronics control unit. It is called ECU. ECU is a very good term called engine control unit, and there are lots of ECUs in a automotive, hundreds of ECUs. So see, these together is known as the cyber physical system. So there are lots of issues when you control. So there are embedded system has got software, hardware, and the cyber physical system is the dynamic system, DS. And plus there will be sensors, actuators, and communication. This whole thing together makes the cyber physical system. And it is very complex because there could be fault in the, there could be problems with software, there could be problem with hardware, then the dynamic system, then sensors, actuators, communication. Anything fails, the whole system fails. Therefore, design of such systems are extremely important. It takes lots of time to design them. So then they are hybrid basically, because as I said as last time, there is both analog and digital. There is both low frequency, high frequency, both sensors and actuator, low voltage, high voltage, different voltage levels. And the most important thing is real-time constant. I told what is real-time constant. The real-time constant is the constant which is put by the external world. That is real-time constant. Okay. So this is called real-time constant. Harshit Kumar Barnwal, what is real-time constant? Harshit Kumar Barnwal.
Hello.
What is why is your video not on?
Sir, my video is on.
Okay, so what is real-time constant? I cannot see. Your video is on, but I cannot see. Your only HB is coming. Okay, what is real-time constant? You tell me.
That are put on by the external world.
Pardon?
Sir, the constraints put on by the external world.
Time constant. You have to do this within this time. So this is called real-time constant. Like real-time, we are having this class. We have 2 hours. We have to finish many things. You are having exams. Just like that, these real-time constants are there. There has to be a finite time before it acts. So do you guys know this anti-lock braking systems, ABS? ABS is called anti-lock braking systems, ABS in cars. Anti-lock braking systems, anti-lock braking systems. You know, when you go in slippery path like ice or mud, or you are going over a terrain and it is raining, so sometimes there is skid because there will be unequal friction in the tires, both the tires of a car. So there is skidding. So when there is skid, it is dangerous. There may be accident, because if something skids at a velocity of 30 miles or 40 miles, 40 kilometers an hour, it is dangerous, and there is every chance that the vehicle will overturn. So the moment there is unequal frictional force on the, can you see the slides or not?
Yes, sir, we can see.
You can see the slides. I'm writing ABS, you are seeing. Okay, thank you very much. So, so therefore, there are sensors, torque sensor. The torque in the both the wheels are sensed, and there is an anti-lock braking mechanism, a particular way the brakes are applied. It is disabled from the driver, and it becomes autonomous, and so the anti-lock braking mechanism starts, and the vehicle is taken under control, and it doesn't overturn. And same thing when there is an accident or there is a jerk. So what happens? There is an airbag which is inflated, which has to be also computer controlled. So they has to work in real time, in milliseconds. If there is something wrong, this has to be activated in milliseconds. So these are known as hard real-time constants. Hard real-time constants which are hard, very hard. That means you have to the whole thing has to be done within milliseconds, and there is no time which is. And the other things are known as soft real-time constant. For example, railway reservation system. It is also a real-time system, but it is not so hard. You can have some time. So therefore, this is called soft real-time constants. So if you look at, so these are some of the characteristics. So you can now, put your cell phone. This is the best embedded system which you are using. So there are lots of things which are used to design a cell phone. So what is the real-time constant on a cell phone? Can anyone tell me what is a real-time constant on the cell phone? What is done in real time?
So GPS.
So camera.
Okay, I will just ask this guy, Japungsar Burma.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Yes, tell me what do you mean by real-time constant? Okay, camera is a device, but what is that which you feel as a constant? Camera is a device, GPS sensors are devices. But yes, what works in real time? You think without that you can't do anything. Raghavendra?
Sir, voice exchange, like when we are talking, we can't just really afford to have a time lag between the voices.
Excellent, very good answer. I think that is voice. So in the real time, what happens to the voice? What real time processing is required in voice? All of you please write down, because embedded system, there is no standard course for learning. We have to learn through examples. Okay. They happen in industry and we have to learn quickly. So as I speak, whatever I teach, there will be much more advanced things going on in industry, because it is market driven, highly IP protected, intellectual property. Nobody shares the information about their development. So, okay. So what happens to the voice when you speak? When you speak to the voice, the first thing it does is it is analog to digital conversion, which has to occur in real time. Then what? Then there is filtering, because the voice may be corrupted with many things. Then after filtering, then there is encoding. That means voice has to be compressed, and at the same time voice has to be coded so that there is no security breach. Then what happens? Then digital voice is converted to high frequency analog. So that high frequency analog. So all these things happen in real time. Then it is related to antenna. So what happens? This digital communication happens in real time. Digital communication has several steps. For example, one is encoding. That means the analog voltage which you are speaking is converted into digital. Then digital data are packed into voice packets, and these voice packets are relayed over digital communication link, which is basically microwave or very high frequency in the order of 4 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz, like that. So they are relayed. So this is what is the process in the cell phone. Okay, so this has to be done in real time. Similarly, when you are receiving a cell phone call from your friend or from your family, then this has to continuously decode that it is meant for you. That means the code which is meant for you, your cell phone number, there is a mechanism. So this is also happening in real time. So these are very real time constants, which are earlier telephones are circuit switching. Circuit switching means whenever you call, the circuit is established. A circuit is established between you and the receiver. So your dedicated circuit you use. Like nowadays, it is in video conferencing mode. When you are doing video conferencing, it is established. But later on, people move to packet switching. That means whatever you are doing, the packets of information is passed to your friend. and the internet has become so fast that you can have internet phone call like WhatsApp, etc. You can have video calls through Google Meet. These are actually packet-based networks. So circuit switching and packet switching. Remember these two terms. Okay. So moving on, this real-time constant is very important for you. Just like you are going to implement digital filter. So digital filter will work in real time. You know, you have to insert one blank slide you will insert, then only you can understand. We'll talk about digital filters. So this digital filter, what you are trying to do, you are essentially, you have got the signal, analog signal. And you have got this A to D conversion, A to D, analog to digital. Then you have got this computer microcontroller, that is AVR microcontroller you are using with memory, and the algorithm will be digital filter, DF. Then D to A, then again analog. So this is digital, this is digital, this is analog, this is also analog. So your algorithm works on this microcontroller. So your digital filter algorithm works here. And this is in real time. Suppose the analog signal is about, suppose you want to filter an analog signal up to 1 kilohertz, up to. If you want to signal this, then what should be the sampling frequency here?
More than 2 kilohertz.
More than 2 kilohertz. Fantastic. Thank you very much. So the sampling frequency is more. Let's say my sampling frequency is 10 kilohertz. Okay, my sampling frequency. What is the sampling time? Sampling time is 0.1 milliseconds. So the digital filter which will work here, what is the time constant of the digital filter? The digital filter algorithm, which is like as I said yesterday, this is X of n, the digital data, this is Y of n. So you know digital filter is like this, H0 xn plus H1 xn minus 1 plus H2 xn minus 2, like that. This is digital filter. That means the output is a linear combination of present and past inputs. Xn is the input, Yn is the output. So Yn is the output, you have to compute as sum of the products. That means the past, present and past values, a linear combination. That's a digital filter, FIR digital filter, FIR, finite impulse response. Okay. So this computation has to go on inside the AVR microcontroller or the computer. We'll talk about this, how the computation will go on. So how much time you have got to compute? Don't answer unless I ask you. I will ask few people. So for example, I will ask this Sahit Kumar. Sahit Kumar is
yes, sir.
So how much time I got to actually compute this and send it to the DA converter, to DA converter?
So,
what is sum of product SOP? You are not attentive in the class. Bhelpula Kushulu.
Sir. Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, please tell me.
So sum of products is nothing but the Yn is a linear function of Xn, so.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Xn and the past values. Xn is the present
Xn
value.
and Xn is the present value.
Past values. Okay.
Yes.
So the past, where are those past values? Where it is there? Where you put the past values? In the memory.
In the memory.
So it is there in the memory. Suppose you have a 10th order filter, so there are 10 delays and present value. 11 numbers of memory location will be containing those values. It's like a window. Okay, and the filter coefficients H0, H1, H2 up to H10 will be also in the memory. So you have to read from the memory and make product of each of them and then sum them. So this operation, sum of product operation, is also known as MAC. What is MAC? Who can answer? MAC called MAC, multiply and accumulate. Okay, this is called multiply and accumulate. So what is the time you have got to multiply and accumulate? Well, Pula, you can answer also.
0.1 milliseconds.
Why do you think 0.1 milliseconds? Swarnim Raj?
Yes, sir.
I think it is 0.1 milliseconds should be the time gap, time constant.
So because that is the sampling time.
So what? If you take more time, then what is the problem?
So then we'll record the same thing more than once.
So that means within this two, so the AD conversion is sampling like this. So this is 1 millisecond. But there is a finite conversion time of the ADC also. Okay. So it is 1 millisecond plus the conversion time. So that means you have to do everything within 1 millisecond, before 1 millisecond. So to make sure that you are doing everything in 1 millisecond, your code size, your number of clock cycles you spend should be within 1 millisecond. So this is a hard real-time constant, is it not? So when you do this voice communication, do you know what is the sampling frequency of voice channel? Anybody who knows the sampling frequency of voice channel? Sumed Lodhi, do you know what is the sampling frequency of voice channels?
No, sir.
Any idea? What is the voice bandwidth?
Like if we take like the a normal bandwidth of 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, then it must be above 40 kilohertz.
40 kilohertz. So 40 kilohertz is too much. So people don't do it, and they do it at 8 kilohertz. So because your voice bandwidth is not really that high, it is around 5. So can you shout at 1 kilohertz? So Subhash Anand, today you shout, make it very shrill sounds and let you find out. Okay. Subhash Anand, today you record your voice. What is the sampling frequency of your audio codec in your laptop?
Sir, I don't.
आराम से क्या कर रहे थे? अच्छा ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं. सैम्पलिंग फ्रीक्वेंसी लैपटॉप का कितना है सिद्धार्थ पोरवाल? तुम्हारा लैपटॉप का सैम्पलिंग फ्रीक्वेंसी कितना है सिद्धार्थ?
I don't know the spec.
अरे तुमने कभी वॉइस रिकॉर्डिंग नहीं किया? सेल फोन का सैम्पलिंग फ्रीक्वेंसी कितना है?
Sir, I have not recorded.
देखो मेरा लैपटॉप का सैम्पलिंग फ्रीक्वेंसी इज 96 किलोहर्ट्ज. Okay, but generally the cell phone voice channel has a sampling frequency of 8 kilohertz, not more than 8 kilohertz, because that is enough. That is enough to give you the voice quality. So can you shout at 1 kilohertz? Today you try. You try to shout and see the Fourier transform. Okay. By the way, everybody has to learn MATLAB little bit. Okay. So so you do one homework. This is homework. You can do on your own. You don't have to submit anything. So you just have to shout at different frequencies. Okay. Then find out what is the maximum frequency of your voice. Then you will understand why 8 kilohertz is enough. You cannot shout possibly at 2 kilohertz. Whether you are a girl, a boy, you can't. A boy can also mimic girl's voice. It is not that. So your frequency will be normal talking frequency will be around within 1 kilohertz. That is not more than that. Okay. So therefore, when you pass the information to somebody, so you want to pass, you want to pass what? The content and the intent. These are the two things in communication. Content and intent. Intent is the emotion. Content is the information. Okay. So when you are passing this, 8 kilohertz is enough. The way I am talking to you, I am using voice over interpret protocol VoIP, which is little better protocol. My sound is getting compressed and decompressed. It is a lossless lossy compression. So what emotion I express here, you are not getting it perhaps. You are getting my audio as well as video. Video I have not switched on because I am really angry with things here because nothing worked when I joined here, when I joined in today's class. Anyway, so therefore, the content and intent can be transmitted to some extent by 8 kilohertz. You don't have to actually, but what about music? Music cannot be actually transmitted at 8 kilohertz. For example, if you want to sing a song to your friend or play music, don't use voice channel. You better record it in MP3 and send it. Because the sampling frequency for music is as high as 96 kilohertz or more. Otherwise, it cannot have that finer tunes. They will overlap. Okay, so sampling frequency is one thing. That means you cannot have a very low sampling frequency. It depends upon the context. The other thing is number of bits. So what is the number of bits here you are playing around? Your number of bits here is 8-bit. Right or wrong? You are working on an 8-bit processor or not? Raghavendra De.
Yes, sir.
8-bit.
Yes, sir. 8 mega is 8-bit.
What do you mean by 8-bit processor? 8-bit processor means the arithmetic logic unit and the computation is at 8 bits. Please write down. When I say 8-bit processor, the computation is at 8 bits. That means the arithmetic logic unit, which does addition, subtraction, multiplication, etc., can handle 8 bits at a time. And there is some registers which are there. We'll talk about the architecture. That is also 8-bit. So when there is an 8-bit processor, it is difficult to process, 16-bit data or 32-bit data. You can process, but it will become slow. You have to do in parts. Okay. Like 8-bit addition, you can do add as an instruction, assembly language instruction. But if you want to add 16 bits, you have to do 2 times addition, 8-bit at a time. Is that clear? Okay, so therefore, so now if I have what should be, so this 8-bit is known as quantization. That means I will sample the voice at 8 bits. Is it okay if I sample at 8 bits? What is the problem if I sample at 4 bits? Sarthak Batra?
Hello?
Sarthak Batra, if I sample the voice at 4 bits, any problem? What did I say just
now? So not all information will be encoded, then some will be missed out.
What is the sampling frequency of your laptop? My laptop, I said just now.
Sir, you told 96 kilohertz.
What about yours?
Sir, I have to check, sir.
Please check. Okay, all of you yes, check your laptop and cell phone sampling frequency. Now, bit size. So, do you think 8-bit is enough? If I have 8 bits, then how many voltage levels I can process? Sahit Kumar? Yadakula Sahit Kumar?
Yes, sir. If we have 8 bits, we can sample with 256 voltage values.
So 256 voltages. So if I have a sensor which will give me plus minus 5 millivolt, let's say the sensor output here and speaking, maybe it is related minus 5 volt to plus 5 millivolts. That means 10 millivolts total swing. So 10 millivolt distributed over 256. So my voice quality will be lost, but I can pass on you the information. So 8-bit is also used for voice. Okay. But for music, it will be 16-bit, sometimes 24-bit. Okay. So information, emotion, and there are something beyond emotion, feelings. Feelings are not emotion. So feelings, music leads to feelings like calmness, serenity. Okay. Excited. So these are some of the feelings which you cannot transmit using low bit rate because the information will be lost. Is that clear? So, but in this case, which you are doing as a first thing is your 8-bit sampling. All right. So now moving on to the next. So if you want to design this whole digital filter stuff, we have shared with you some videos where actually there is an animated design which has been given to you. design of the embedded system has several steps. Step number one is problem formulation. Step number 2 is concept. Step number 3 is simulation. Step number 4 is hardware design. Step number 4 is specification. Step number 5 is, so there are lots of steps. So this is called hardware and software design of embedded system. You can look at this. So before getting hardware and software design, you have to get hardware components as well as software components. So it is hardware components here, but there will be also software components. Software components are extremely IP protected. Hardware components you can buy from the market, but software components you may not be able to buy. It is very expensive. I'll just give you some idea. You know, there is something called HILS. Please write down this HILS. It is called hardware in loop simulation. Write down hardware in loop simulation. It is called hardware in loop simulation. I'll talk about it in this class. So the hardware in loop simulation means if you want to design a controller for an automotive engine or an induction motor, for say, a big induction motor. Suppose in railway, Indian Railway, the engine, the electric locomotive engine has a 800 kilowatt induction motor, 800 kilowatt. And it has to be, the controller has to be designed. So do you think that I'll bring that 800 kilowatt machine to the lab and design a controller and test it? The answer is negative, no. Why? Because the whole thing, you know, if you do a bad controller, the machine will be destroyed. There will be instability, there may be instability, there may be high temperature rise. So machine is not to be brought to the lab. So what to do? You have to design the controller on a machine which is like a simulation. That means it will be like a box. In that box, there will be some simulator running in real time of that induction motor of 800 kilowatt, and the 3-phase input will go. You know, it will also give you output like speed, etc., current, speed, etc. So this whole thing is a simulator of that motor, which is done in a computer and it runs in real time. Real time means the voltages which are going in, it will convert into digital things and it will simulate it and give back the current, torque, etc. in real time. This is called real time simulator. Are you getting my point, Tanuj Saraf? Are you getting my point, Tanuj?
Yes, sir.
So whenever there is a real time simulator running, and if you put the embedded system to control it, you are having no fear because no damage will be there. So these are known as hardware in loop simulation. That means the hardware will be actually the whole physical system will be a simulator. It is called real time simulation. Remember, real time simulation, RTS, or real time simulators. So real time simulator basically is a software which is running on a embedded system. I will show you which we have built here. We have built a real time simulator on a embedded system called Raspberry Pi, RasPi. Raspberry Pi, you will know, this is a very interesting real time computer, small computer. You can write on Python. So we have built an induction motor simulator on that. You understood, Divyanshu? So we are building a real time simulator on the Raspberry Pi. So you have to give 3-phase voltages. When you give 3-phase voltages, you will get 3-phase currents, and there will be a load torque also will be given. So you will get 3-phase currents and the speed, everything. So let me tell you about this software. If you want to buy such a software for an automotive engine, the cost is about something like 12 lakhs or something like that. It is about 1.2 million. Or if you make it in American, you know, it will be very costly. So a simple simulator will be so much cost for the in the academic. For industry, it will be 10 times. It will run into crores. So when you have this real-time simulator running, so Adimulam, what is the cost of this engine simulator I told?
1.2 million rupees.
What?
1.2 million.
What about for the academics? How much it will be?
Less than that.
So if you build a real-time simulator, you are going to make lots of money. I'm telling you. In embedded system is a money-making subject. Remember this. 100%. If you want to earn lots of money, learn embedded system. I'm telling you. Okay. So So therefore, software components are very, very expensive. At the same time, mostly it is built in-house. So there are software teams, and this is the major IP nowadays. IP is software, hardware is available. Like ARM, ABR, they are available. Then you have to bring operating system. In the software component, one of the operating system, you don't have to build an operating system. You can buy an operating system. So there are lots of common operating system. It is called RTOS, real-time operating system. RTOS, you can write down RTOS, real-time operating system. Ritvik Teja, can you tell me one real-time operating system? You know it? Ritvik Teja.
Yes, sir.
Tell me one real-time operating system.
Computer.
अरे कंप्यूटर तो सब कुछ है. अरे be attentive in the class, otherwise what are you learning? You are paying heavily for this IIT course. You are Government of India, whoever. So you take advantage. So I am not a bad teacher, you know. So you better attend my classes. Okay. You can ask your seniors. All right. So what is it? So RTOS means real-time operating system. Can you name one operating system you are using every day? People must have thought by this. Okay. Pradnya, tell me one real-time operating system. You are on my screen. I am pinning you, so you are on my screen. I can see you fully. Tell me a real-time operating system. तुम्हारे घर में कुत्ता है क्या?
क्या? हेलो?
पायल कुमारी, टेल मी. घर में कोई पपी है क्या? पायल कुमारी, टेल मी व्हाट इज रियल टाइम operating system?
Windows is in real-time operating system.
Yeah.
So Windows is an example of RTOS.
Windows is an operating system, but not real time. Okay. So IB, Isan Bhutani. Tell me one real time operating system which you are using every day.
Sir, Android.
Very good. Thank you very much for your answer. Intelligent answer. Android is a real-time operating system. There are lots of real-time operating system in industry, different types. Okay, Android is a commonly available operating system. iOS, you know, cell phones, iPhone, smartphones. So the iOS is also a real-time operating system. Any other real-time operating system you know?
Sir.
बोलो भाई क्या है?
Sir, why is Windows not real-time operating system?
Okay, very good question. Real-time operating system means you have to do everything in real time and external time. Suppose you use Windows for controlling car like that, you know, anti-lock braking system. So Windows hangs most of the time. If you use 4 or 5 applications at the same time, do you think if you open the same PowerPoint slide today and tomorrow, will they take same time? So this is a good question. So how to test something is real-time operating system or not? So you run a program thousands of times, like PowerPoint, opening a thing, Excel or whatever, or write a code and find out the real-time, the time lapse. And if you run the same code thousands of times, okay, if you run the same code thousands of times, let me tell you, you will understand. If you run a code for thousands of times, okay, so you have this code running time, let's say CPU time of your code, and you have run, suppose 10,000 times, you have got different numbers, okay, and you plot the histogram of these timings, okay. Let's say the minimum, this is some value, and there is maximum is some value. Let's minimum is 1 microsecond, maximum is 1 minute. Then if you plot the histogram, you know guys how to plot histogram? You divide into different intervals, then you plot the CPU time. The distribution will come some things like this, let's say. This is for one case. So this is Windows operating system. And if you do it in Android, the call receiving and call forwarding and do 10,000, it will look like something like this. So you can see around this mean time, this distribution is very, very small. This is very big. So that means uncertainty here is more. That means if you give a program, can you tell for sure that it will work in 1 millisecond? Answer is negative. I can't be sure. It can be 1 millisecond, it can be 1 second also. But with real-time operating system, you can for sure say that it will be within 1 millisecond. So there is a hard real-time constant. Could you get it, guys? So that means the operating system has to be designed with these priorities.
Sir?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Sir, in that matter, will Linux be a real-time operating system?
No, Linux is not a real-time operating system, but RT Linux is one. RT Linux, so when there are multiple things running together, like in Windows and Android, Android also have multiple things like Messenger is there, Facebook is there, Internet is there. You have got some document editing is there, MP3 player is there. You are doing lots of things, but a call comes in. Do you think it will reject the call? It will definitely have the call, and it will also do it in very small time, definite time. So this is called real time. There is hard real time constant, but Windows, Linux, this doesn't have any hard real time constant. But RT Linux has real time Linux. Windows C, there are real time window is also there. For example, in Microsoft phones, people used to have real time windows. So those are actually real time operating systems.
Excuse me, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, please tell me. Yes, and very good. I am getting a very good interactive set of students. Please go ahead. Tell me.
Sir, in Windows also we have video conferencing and things like that. So why is that not considered real time?
Yeah, video conferencing, sometimes it hangs. It is not dependable, but it has got some voice over internet. So it is done through internet. If the connection is slow, you cannot have it video conferencing. It all depends on internet speed. So Windows.
Sir, but in
yeah.
Android also we have some apps which take some more time to get start.
Yeah, Android, there are certain things which do not work in real time also, which are not having priority. But there is one priority, which is this, call. When you have to establish a circuit between you and your friend, it has to be real time. But all other things may not be treated as real time, it doesn't have that priority. So real time operating system means operating system which responds to real time. Okay.
Okay.
So there is one important factor of real time is reactive. That means to a particular stimuli it reacts. Windows may not react always. It depends on the speed. It appears real time though, but it is not real time. There is no constraint. If it does not react, you have nothing to do. For example, if you put a Windows operating system in ABS, nobody is going to buy your car because it may hang sometimes and you are dead if there is a skid. So the point is it has to be very dependable and it has to be reactive. All right, so if you want to test this, I told you how to test it. You run a particular code thousands of times and put the histogram. The histogram will be flat for non-real time things. It will be very, very steep for real time. All right. So there are lots of things, system specification, behavior, also how to do design. So design, the first and foremost thing in design is the specification. All of you write down. Specification of the system is the most important thing. Overall specification is first according to the customer. For example, if you are having a cell phone, from customer point of view, what are the specifications? Rituraj Datta. Customer perspective से क्या है? Rituraj.
Yes, sir.
What is suppose you want to buy a cell phone, what will be the specification for you?
So the memory has.
You want to buy a cell phone, one is cost doesn't matter, let's say. Cost will come later. Cost is one constant, of course. But what will be your specification, best specification you look for?
So the memory rate has the RAM it contains.
Okay, not the screen size.
Yes, sir. The screen size. Yes, sir.
This is my screen size. This is also screen size, but this phone is very, very expensive. This phone is not that expensive. Okay, so the screen size is one of the, it is for an huge consumer, not as an engineer. You look for the screen size, then what? The camera, how many cameras it has got, right or wrong?
Yes, sir.
Also, if you are a little smarter, then you look at the, what you said just now, the memory, the processor speed, right or wrong? So you are a little smarter than Android quality. For example, you know, if you buy OnePlus phones, the Android quality is much better than if you buy Moto G and Samsung. Because they use Android, they have a pact with Google that any Android developments, they will be directly transferred to OnePlus. Therefore, OnePlus phones are very expensive. This is not OnePlus, by the way. So point is, you know, you have to go for, first is customer specification. If you want to design a phone, the customer specification is this. Then comes the technical specification. Even some customers look at the technical specification. So this is overall specification. So how do you specify? You specify them in the form of a table. There is a standard template, you specify them. If you go to Amazon or Flipkart, you just compare the specification. If you go to any cell phone app site where they compare the cell phones, they will give a tabular form. Then comes the system, subsystem level specifications. So subsystem level specifications is components. What are the different components of the cell phone? Can you tell me roughly what are the components of a cell phone? The components of a cell phone can be the processor board, then the display, then the microwave circuit, okay, high frequency circuit. So each component will also have specifications. Each component will have also, the processor will also have specifications. Then comes the software. Software also has to have specifications. Then it comes to the chip level. Digital circuits, they will also have specifications. So do you know how to specify digital circuits? You know any language, specification language?
Verilog.
Yes, thank you very much. VHDL, they are known as hardware specification languages, where you can specify the performance, the design, everything of a digital system, digital circuit. What about software specifications? Do you know anything which can also do software specifications? There are SRS, different kinds of SRS, software requirement specification documents. SRS, write down SRS. SRS. Then how to describe everything, that is software, hardware, analog, digital both, then your sensors, actuators, communication. How do you specify everything, which is basically components of embedded system? So there is this language called UML, Unified Modeling Language, UML. So when you design such a physical system, you may have to describe them by UML. So this is called specification, detailing of the specification. So then you have to do the synthesis, called system synthesis. You have to connect the components, and you have to do synthesis up to register level or behavioral level. Okay. Then after synthesis, you have to do simulation. So synthesis, then simulation. I am shortcut. I am writing in shortcut.
So what is behavior synthesis?
I'll call you. I'll tell you. Just wait. Synthesis and simulation. Specification, synthesis, and simulation. Okay. After simulation, prototyping. That starts after that. Like you guys are doing digital filter. What are you doing first? You are now first specifying the digital filter. I will give all these steps example with respect to digital filter. You please note down. Okay, I will not be able to write everything. You please write, because it will take long time to finish everything. So let's consider the example of digital filter. So this is a fixed architecture. It does multiplication and addition. So the next architecture which will do is adaptive digital filter. Adaptive. Adaptive filtering is the one which your cell phone has. Adaptive. It will adapt to the situations. Okay, so that there actually the programming will be very challenging. Anyway, so in the digital filter, the first step is specification. So first step is actually requirements. Then second is specification of the system. Requirement specification. Then comes specification of the system or system specification. Sometimes the requirement is so large, you need to specify it. So requirement specification leads to what? Called tendering sometimes. That means you have to specify this to the vendor. As a customer, you should have a requirement. What requirement? So in this case, what is the requirement specification? Requirement specification of the digital filter is given the input signal. So it is input signal is given. What is input signal? Input signal bandwidth, let's say, is 1 kilohertz. And peak to peak voltage is, let's say, 5 millivolts or 5 volts. So this is given. Input signal bandwidth and peak to peak voltage is given. Okay, and also it will be whenever the input signal is given, the characteristic impedance is also given. This is your input signal VST and the characteristic impedance ZS, which is called source impedance, is also given. Then this is required. What is the output required? Output is required out. So this is input given. The output required is all noises beyond 250 Hz should be filtered. And output peak to peak voltage should be also 5 volts peak to peak. The glitches. So this is the output specification. Then output impedance also should be specified, which is called output impedance. That means output impedance will be small. That means that's what you have to do. So the output also, like this is output voltage, VO, and it will also have output impedance. So these are the requirement specifications, requirement specs. This is very easy here to describe, but sometimes it is very difficult to describe. So for example, you want a lift, an elevator, which will be constructed in your 10-story building or 8-story building. So your requirement to be very specified. One of the requirement is the time of travel from ground floor to the top floor. The other requirement could be how the jerk, the acceleration profile, which should be smooth. If there is a patient with some problems, he should not feel the jerk. What is the definition of jerk? Joyce definition क्या है? Joyce jerk का definition क्या है? You must be thinking this professor is a jerk. No. Tell me the definition of a jerk. Jerk is change of acceleration. Okay. Change of acceleration is jerk. That's what people define. Actually, change of acceleration, change of acceleration, these are all jerks. So the acceleration profile should be smooth. What is smoothness of a function? Jagriti Agarwal. Jagriti, smoothness
So
of
should be
function.
should be continuous. Function should be continuous.
How do you define smoothness? Continuity is defined by derivatives. What is how do you define by smoothness? Hardik Mohanty.
So jerk should be 0.
What?
Jerk should be 0, minimized.
That's true, but how to define the smoothness of a function of time? Let's say f of t. Mathematically. Ibyansu. Who can answer? Just answer this. Smoothness of a function f of t. It is a very smooth function. It is not so smooth function.
So derivative should be continuous.
It should be differentiable everywhere. The sharp point should not be there. In the...
That is the domain of the function, but that is not the continuous smoothness. What is smoothness? I want to know.
Derivative should not exceed a particular value.
Please raise your hand and ask the question. Okay. Swarnim Raj, you tell me. Swarnim Raj.
Derivative should not exceed a particular. So derivative should not exceed a particular value.
No.
And that particular value will be defined.
Not satisfied. If I give you the answer, you will actually curse yourself why you could not answer this. All the derivatives, the number of derivatives, the more number of derivatives are continuous, the more smooth that function is. For example, if I integrate a function fx is equal to mod x, if I integrate this function is going to be integration of this function is going to have will have continuous and also derivative will exist. Again, you can keep on integrating mod x and keep on integrating x. So which one will be more smooth? Definitely the integration of x. So integration of x. So smoothness of the function is defined by the number of derivatives which has continuity. If all the derivatives are continuous, it is absolutely smooth function. If the number of derivatives, how many? So smoothness of a function, e to the power x is the smoothest. E to the power x, because all derivatives are alike. You got my point? So you can say that, this when they design this acceleration profile of elevators, have you seen the elevators? Every day there are people here. Hardik, every day you are going by elevators. Are you feeling the jerk? You are not. When the motor starts, it starts in such an acceleration profile, you will not feel it. So that smoothness of acceleration has to be embodied into the embedded controller so that the motor is applied voltage in such a way the acceleration profile is very smooth. Okay. So this is one specification. I'm just trying to say you that specification of physical systems are very complicated. Okay, so you have to quickly accelerate, smoothly accelerate and reach the top. For example, you are in a 50-story building. अगर इतना स्मूथ जाओगे तो भाई पहुंच ही नहीं पाओगे, एक दिन लगेगा सुबह से ऊपर जाने के लिए. इसीलिए फास्ट भी होना है, स्मूथ भी होना है. तो ये कांस्टेंट ऑप्टिमाइजेशन प्रॉब्लम है. जो तुम्हें वो लिफ्ट देगा, वो लिफ्ट तुमको पसंद है, नहीं तो नहीं पसंद. तो डिजिटल फिल्टर का इधर जो सिंपल स्पेसिफिकेशन है, एक इनपुट है, एक आउटपुट है. इनपुट का सोर्स दिया है, उसका इंपेडेंस दिया है. आउटपुट का सोर्स दिया है, उसका भी इंपेडेंस तुमको बनाना है. ठीक है. What is the source impedance stuff? Why it is important? Ritiraj Datta. बहुत सारा स्टूडेंट नहीं है क्या?
Yes, sir.
What is the source impedance thing? I want to teach you whole day. I don't mind, but I don't think I can.
So it is important because we need to know how much voltage we have. Basically, we don't want much voltage drop.
Whether this source impedance is a factor for power transfer or anything else. Suppose maximum power transfer theorem. Is it a thing for applied for power transfer or something else? Rohit, you guess. Yeah.
Sir, I think like we are using the input impedance. Like if we short the side, if ZS is not there, so like our output side can be shorted as well. So like that could be dangerous.
Okay, so point here is it is absolutely used for communication, impedance matching. So maintain high fidelity of communication because these signals are very low level signals. You are speaking, there is a speaker and there is an amplifier. I don't know whether you guys know or not. There is a impedance matching used to match the source impedance because all your speech frequencies should be equally amplified, equally phase delayed so that the speech is not distorted. So therefore, there is impedance matching. So this impedance matching or the maximum power transfer theorem is a theorem for which is used in communication or signal transmission, not in power transmission. There are two things. One is signal and is power. What I'm talking about is signals. So therefore, the source impedance is important. From wherever you are getting this signal from a sensor, maybe the source impedance, which is output impedance of the sensor, if it is high, then you have to match the impedance and feed it to the A to D converter. Because AD to converter has a load. It's a hybrid circuit, analog and digital together. Whenever there is switching, there will be spikes of current which will be drawn from the sensor. If the sensor has a poor impedance or large impedance, what will happen? The sensor output will be corrupted. Because when A to D conversion happens, there is a lot of switching, you know it, because there is a counting for successive approximation. There is sigma delta ADC. We will study about ADCs. So therefore, the impedance of this has to match. In your Proteus simulation, you are not bothered about this because you are using a signal generator with an adaptable source impedance. Have you used signal generator earlier? Have you used signal generator earlier in your network signals and network lab?
Yes, sir.
So did you see there are some impedances written on the signal generator? There is a knob which will tell you 60 ohm, 10 ohm, something like that.
Yes, sir.
Yes, that is for the managing the output impedance to the circuit, so that actually the signal is not distorted. Anyhow, so this is one specification which is given. The other specification requirement is given that you should generate a output with given impedance and voltage swing. And there will be current loading also. How much current will load to the input and how much fan out or how the output will be loaded. This will also be mentioned. This is requirement specification. Then specification of the system which you want to have. So let's go to the specification of the system. So system specification. So that means digital filter, you know architecture. So you have to have an architecture first. So it starts with architecture. So one of the system specification is how the architecture will look like. So system specification 1, the system spec 1. So SP1 I can write it. System specification 1. Architecture will be, okay, there is the signal generator or source. Then there will be some interface circuit interface which includes impedance matching. Then there is ADC, analog to digital converter. Then comes your embedded controller or microprocessor with memory, which has CPU, memory, everything. Then again interface. Then DA converter. Then this output. It can be another further, or there could be DA here and interface. Let me erase it a little bit. That means this should be DA first, then interface. So this could be a filter. Remember, this could be a filter also. And this could be some amplifier, filter and amplifier together. This could be also a filter, amplifier together. So this is your input, X of t. This is output, Y of t. And this is X of n. This is Y of n. So digital filter occurs in this, and this is analog to digital filtering. So conversion, this is digital to analog conversion. So this is the system level. So this is architecture. Because this is so simple, you are able to do once go, you are defining the architecture. Then comes, so this is called structural specifications. The structural specification can be done by block diagram. It can be also done by signal flow graphs. Okay. Any questions?
Sir, could you explain the interface part again? Like, what does it do?
Very good.
Like just
so signal बहुत ही suppose microvolt में आ रहा है EEG signal. You have to amplify or not. You have to match the dynamic range of the AD converter. Suppose AD converter has a range of plus minus 5 volt, but your signal is coming at, let's say, in plus minus 1 millivolt, and here it is at plus minus 1 volt, let's say. So that means to match the dynamic range, unless if you directly 1 millivolt, ADC will be difficulty, because one plus minus 1 volt 8 bit and it is plus minus 1 millivolt. You have to multiply it by 100,000 times so that it matches the dynamic range. Unless it matches the dynamic range, there will be a lot of quantization error. I will tell you why. I think you must be getting the feel, because 1 volt corresponds to 256 levels. So 1 millivolt will not, so it will be only one quantization. So therefore you have to amplify it. Second, suppose the signal generator or the sensor has spike noises. In ECG, if you put the signals everywhere, whenever you move hands, there will be spike noises. There are lots of noises. Every noise you don't want to put ADC, because ADC sampling frequency is fixed at 1 kilohertz, let's say. or 5 kilohertz. But suppose the noise here is more than that, you have to filter it. This is called anti-aliasing filter. So you should have an anti-aliasing type of filter so that the signal here matches the bandwidth of ADC, because ADC is sampling at f of s and the bandwidth maximum is f of s by 2. So bandwidth is how much it can accept. It is fs less than fs by 2. And this bandwidth may not be within fs by 2. Because while I'm speaking to the microphone, there are a lot of other noises coming in. Like this fan noise is coming in. There are some other noises, electronic noises are coming in. So AD converter cannot sample high frequency because the sampling time is limited. Otherwise, there will be aliasing. So therefore, there has to be interface which will do filtering and amplification. Okay. So this will also match. So this is also known as one-way impedance matching at all frequencies. Similarly, when D2A, when the D2A is basically switching, you will find what does D2A do? Ladder network. In the ladder network, there is a lot of switching. That means there is analog circuit in the output. Input, there are digital circuits that are switching. So because of that, there will be a lot of noises in the output, a lot of spikes. So we'll see that real-time signal processing. So that has to be also filtered by using another interface. And also to match the signal level, you have to do amplification. So this is the overall block diagram of digital filter. Okay. So the block diagram specification or structural specification you just did. Okay, now let's go to the next level. Next level is subsystem level specification. So system level block diagram is then in subsystem level. So subsystem 1, let's say that is A to D, ADC. Then subsystem 2, DAC. Then subsystem 3 is the microcontroller, MUC. These are the 3 subsystems. Then SS1, that is ADC. So how to define the specification? The specification of ADC is what? The bits, number of bits, and sampling frequency, FS, or conversion time. Sampling frequency is limited by conversion time. And there is also something called cost and availability. All these, looking at all these things, your requirement. So number of bits is generally designed by the resolution which you want. So let's say the number of bits you fixed at 8 bits. And sampling frequency is from the bandwidth requirement. Let's say the bandwidth of this 1 kilohertz. Then you look for the ADC. So this is a common. Remember, embedded system design is choosing components, not designing components. All of you please remember, designing the modern embedded system is about choosing components and designing the software. All of you please remember. Design of all the embedded systems nowadays is to choose components and very intelligently and design algorithms. So embedded system design is all about designing algorithms and choosing components. This is all about embedded system design. So you have to cleverly choose which ADC you want. There are lots of ADCs in the market. The 8-bit, 10-bit, 12-bit, 16-bit, 30 to 24-bit. So the power consumption is another major factor in consumption is one of the major factors, ADC power consumption, because this is quite high. So ADC power consumption, suppose you want to use ADC for an implant on your body, like sugar for your grandfather or somebody, the sugar will be monitored automatically and the sugar insulin will be released. Suppose you want to have such an implant, the A to D converter will have extremely low power, it should be. Otherwise, you cannot manage the battery. So power constant is one of the major factors. So all these constants, looking at this, you choose the ADC. Once the ADC is chosen, then you choose which processor you want to do, what kind of processor. So according to ADC, you will also choose DAC. DAC will be also same thing. The bit size, okay, the glitch, the number of glitches coming in, what type of DAC is required. There are different types of ADC also, depending upon the principle. What are the different types of ADCs you have got? Different type of ADCs. Principle of operation is one is successive approximation type. SA. Successive approximation. Write down. Then there is this flash, which is instant, very fast ADCs. Then there is this dual slope, which is, I don't think it is very much very popular. And then there is most important ADC which is coming nowadays, delta sigma. We'll study about this. I think you know, most of you, this what is successive approximation. So this consumes a lot of power. This consumes the least power because the number of bits are less here. Very less number of bits. It is called 1-bit AD converter sometimes. 1-bit ADC. Is that clear? Sometimes 1-bit ADC. So these are different principles. You have to choose one of them. Let's say you choose SA, you choose 8 bits, you choose some sampling frequency, you choose. This choosing also sometimes intuitive. You know the problem, so you choose intuitive. And sometimes it is also not so intuitive. You have to do lots of analysis before choosing it. Like you have to analyze the quantization noise, signal to noise ratio after AD conversion. All these things you have to do. So after ADC, then choose DSC. DSC also there are different principles. DSC is like ladder network based DSC. There are other kind of DSCs. Ladder one is very popular DSC, which is very fast, and it also is known for the spike noise. Just now I showed. What is that noise I told just now? DSC का noise क्या बोला अभी नवम सिंगला? अभी जो DSC का एक noise का नाम बोला वो क्या है? मैं भूल गया इसलिए I am asking you. नवम सिंह, हाँ?
White noise.
White. You white noise. Pay attention what I am talking. Don't just jump into things. Nilan Sikdar.
Yes, a spike noise.
It's not spike. There is something else I told. I remember now. Mohsin Kalim.
It's spike noise.
Nah. Let's see who can answer. I'll be very happy. Kumar Tanmay.
Spike noise, sir.
Nah. Spike noise I told, but I said something else, which is actually very common in DSC. Krishna Pasala.
Spike noise in ladder.
No, what did spike noise? No, who can say? Raise your hand. Who can say? Please raise your hand. I told spike noise, but I also said something else. Who can say? Please raise your hand.
Pipeline noise.
Nah. I told you about glitches. Glitch. These are called glitch noise. Okay, small glitch which will appear in the output. So it has to be clean. So how to clean glitch? What kind of filter will you use? Sri Sai Kiran Akula, what kind of filter you use for cleaning the glitch?
As it is a high frequency, glitch is a high frequency, maybe we'll use low pass filter.
Excellent. So glitches are not high frequency, it is everywhere, but mostly high frequency. Glitches like impulse. Impulse has a frequency response which is one everywhere, is it not? But you don't want, so you have to maximally get rid of by low pass filtering. Is that clear? Divyanshu Shetty. Divyanshu Shetty.
Yes.
Suppose I want to design a filter which is of high order, 10th order filter. Okay, you know how to design analog filters? Anusha Gedela, you know how to design analog filters? तुम लोग पढ़ाया नहीं गया क्या सिग्नल्स एंड नेटवर्क में?
Yes, sir.
How to design analog filters पढ़ाया गया है? Can you name one analog filter?
No, sir.
What is the noise I was talking about? DAC noise.
Sir,
What is the DAC noise I was talking about?
glitch noise, sir.
What are the term I spoke just now? You have any trouble or what? You are not able to concentrate. What is the problem with you?
Nothing, sir. No problem.
What is the noise? Name of the noise I spoke about just now?
Glitch noise, sir.
Very good. So glitch high frequency noise. People said that you can use high frequency low pass filter. So it is analog low pass filter because it is after DAC. Okay. So this analog low pass filter design. Can you name one filter? Harshit Kumar Barnwal. Harshit Barnwal.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Name one analog filter. प्रसन्न कुमार, अरे एक एनालॉग फिल्टर का नाम बता, तुमने किया है तो एक्सपेरिमेंट अभी। एक एनालॉग फिल्टर का नाम बताओ, कौन बता सकता है? हाथ ऊपर करो। वेरी गुड, एक्सीलेंट, आई रियली लाइक, मेनी पीपल कैन टेल। ओके प्रत्युष बताओ।
हाँ, बटरवर्थ फिल्टर।
ओके good. So Butterworth filter. So how to design? Who knows? Just raise your hand. I'm not going to ask any question. How to design? चार लोग जानते हैं डिजाइन करना क्या, ज्यादा नहीं जानते। ठीक है, वो पॉलिनोमियल फिटिंग होता है। आप लोग खाली बता देता हूँ, डिनोमिनेटर बाय न्यूमरेटर करके पॉलिनोमियल फिटिंग करके बनाते हैं। मैं तुमको बताऊंगा अच्छा वाला मेथड्स यूजिंग इवोल्यूशनरी कंप्यूटिंग। ओके, बट आप लोग को मुझे को इफ यू वांट टू लर्न मेनी थिंग्स यू हैव टू बी पेशेंस। ओके, प्रत्युष खाली जानता है डिजाइन, पता प्रत्युष?
From the transfer function in the numerator and denominator, we can specifically arrange integrators and differentiators accordingly.
Yes, very good. This is synthesis. Yes, thank you, thank you. I got it. Okay, thank you very much, Pratyush. So there are ways to design. You not necessarily know now, but learn it quickly because you have to do that. So if it is a high order filter, you may have to have multi-stage filtering. Okay, the typical device which we have designed is Sleep Dog. It is of very good standard. It matches any international product. There we have found that you have to put multiple stages of filtering. Extremely difficult to design embedded systems. Remember this. Okay. So this is the specification of ADC and DAC. Then what is the next specification? Next specification is what is the next specification? Most important specification is the processor. So when I talk about processor or microcontroller or MUSI, so there, what are the different things you are looking at? You are looking at what? Number of bits. Then you are looking at clock's frequency. Remember, these are specifications of a processor. Then you are looking at memory. Then you are looking at input, output, ports. Ports, it is called ports. We'll talk about this specifically. Ports, memory, clock frequency. Then you are also looking at communication. Basically, it leads to tell overall architecture. So in this case, you have been told already about one 8-bit controller. But you have to decide. You need 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit. Which form? What is the clock frequency? What is the memory? And what is the power consumption? Power consumption also. Same processor with a DIP package, dual inline package. Okay, dual inline package means इस तरह का है. Processor इस तरह का है, उसका ऐसा IC का लेग है, ठीक है? ये legs है. Dual inline. Then surface mount. Surface mount is just flat, something like this. So this will consume more power. This will consume less power. This is more expensive. and it is difficult to solder. DIP is very nice. You can just you can put it on a breadboard, but making circuit on this is very difficult. Okay, this is called quad flat package, QFP. Okay, so these are different packages. The same processor, everything same, but the power consumption will change. If you go to DIP to this will be less power consumption. But it is very difficult to design, prone to EMI, so lots of things will come. महीना को थोड़ा अपना ये कर दो, उसको म्यूट कर दो. So this specification of the processors, which is now your Atmega 328, we have told you about the processor because to quickly start with. But maybe in future you have to choose the processor from what you want to do. Like Philips has got lots of microcontrollers, like PIC microcontrollers. These AVR microcontrollers are there. Then there are these ARM-based processors, like from TI and other places. ARM is not a company. ARM just gives you the IP of the ARM, and people manufacture them. ARM, okay. Something it's a RISC-based architecture. Then PIC, AVR. Then there is this Intel. Intel family is also there. So you have to choose. Or TI family is also there. So you have to choose from which family of processors you are going to have it. Okay. Then you choose that processor. Yes.
Can we count the analog digital converters in the specification of a microcontroller?
Yeah, that is also on board. You are right, very right. So most of the time ADC will be a part of the microcontroller. So ADC and microcontroller can be counted together.
Thank you.
DAC, sometimes DAC is also there. Okay. So once you have all these things, ready, then next level is what? Next level is software specifications. This hardware specification over, you have chosen the device. This is a very simple filter. You have chosen it, then comes the software specification. So here there are two things in this behind the specification. One is the block diagram based, which is called structural specs. So the one which you saw just now is structural specification. That means I decided the ADC, DAC, the microcontroller, and this depends upon the block diagram. Then internal of this. So this all comes under structural specification. So structural specification can be done by block diagrams, signal flow graphs. You can also use signal flow graphs. These are nodes, signal node. This is interface node. You can use signal flow graphs, and this can be also fed into UML or UML charts. So sometimes you can feed this into UML charts. This is block diagram specification. This is called structural specification. Then what is the behavioral process specification? So behavioral specification is the frequency response. That means how the signal in frequency domain should behave. Then behavioral specification is the noise. Behavioral specification is the transients. Behavioral specification is the time. So these are called different behavioral specifications. So that means the whole digital filter thing, you can basically whole digital filter thing you can design. You can design the digital filter field like a block diagram behavior. That means frequency response. This is your XT. This is your YT. So this is overall behavioral specification, right? You can also define digital filter in the form of difference equations in time domain or discrete domain. You can also define in frequency domain, like frequency response. Then there will be transients. So there will be steady state and transient. These transients, so these are steady state behavior, they are transient. Transient means suppose the sinusoidal frequency changes or the signal frequency changes here. What happens to the digital filter output? There will be some transient which will be there. Suppose there is a 10th order digital filter, FIR filter, okay, 10th order. If the signal changes, how much time it will take to settle? Suppose in this particular case, there is the 1 kilohertz sampling time or sampling frequency, and the order of the filter is 10th. how much time it will take the output to settle? If there is a transient in the input, transient means step change in amplitude, step change in frequency, or something, some disturbances, one spike. So how many times the transient will follow in the output? Guru Rajesh Kumar, Ambati Guru Rajesh Kumar.
Hello, yes, sir.
हाँ, क्या बोला मैं बताओ? राजेश कुमार जी, क्या बताया मैंने? रेड्डी, what did I say just now?
If we change the frequency, then
No, I said about two things: steady state response and transient response. Steady state response can be modeled by frequency response or difference equation. How we'll find out the transient? Transient can be found out by difference equations. But the question is, if I have a digital filter which is sampling at 1 millisecond, okay, and the output is 10th order filter, that means yn is h0 xn plus h1 xn minus 1 up to h10 xn minus 10. Suppose there is a transient in the input xn, there is a spike. So how much time it will last in output? There is a spike. Spike is a transient, a spike noise. Just it is lasting for one time unit in the input. How many time units it will last in the output? You are paying attention or not? I don't know. Please pay attention.
yes, sir.
Others Suni?
Yes, sir.
बताओ कितना टाइम लगेगा? अगर एक इंस्टेंट में गया तो कितना टाइम लगेगा? अदर सुनी? क्या सोच के बताओ ना क्या है? सोहन पंडा,
Yes, sir.
suppose I have a spike in the input at one particular instant time. How much time it will last in the output? Sohan Porida, sorry.
So it's the same 1 instant it will last.
Think about it. रवि प्रकाश प्रसाद, थोड़ा फोकस करने से हो जाएगा, डोंट वरी. सोहन परिडा, ये फोकस का प्रॉब्लम है जो ऑनलाइन क्लास में. रवि प्रकाश.
Yes, sir. Would it be 10 millisecond?
Not 10 instants, obviously. It is a FIR filter. So xn minus 1 SSO, it will be 10 units of time. Thank you very much for the answer. So this is transient. So if you have certain transients, so it will die down in 10 milliseconds. In some cases, if you have transients coming again and again, how to handle it. So all these steady state and transient responses are behavioral responses.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, 10 instants or 11 instants? Because we have H0 to H10.
Yeah, 11 instants specifically. 11th instant, n minus 11. N starts from 0, so delay is 10. So suppose n happens here, yeah, it will happen now and last 10 instants. So total 11, yes. So 10 plus 1, it will occur now because the spike comes at n is equal to, let's say, n. So then when n becomes, let's say, n plus 1, so it will come here. There will be no spike here, but spike will be here. So like that, it will go up to present and then again next 10 instants. So you can say 11 instants. You are right. So there will be, because of this FIR. Suppose it is an IIR filter, because there will be some feedback of output would have been there. Let's say B1 yn minus 1 would have been there. IIR filter means yn is equal to, let's say, B0 xn plus B1 xn minus 1 plus A1 yn minus 1. Let's say. So in this case, how much time the transient would have lasted? Rohit.
Yes, sir.
How much time it will last if this IIR filter? That means there is a feedback in the input also, output also getting fed back with A1. Okay. So how much time it will last? Not sure. Sirsa? Sirsa or Sirsa? I don't know. Shri Shah. Okay, I don't know. Okay, please, Shri Shah, please tell me.
Like it is a 10th order, right? In the earlier case you said.
Forget it. And now look at this. This is first order only. Xn minus 1 and 1 feedback from the output. How much time this transient, one spike in the input will last? And theoretically, how much? Rishita. How much time it will last? I think you know, guys. Raise your hand. You know it. Yeah. Many people have already answered this. Okay. So it will be infinite. You know, it will keep on feeding back. Theoretically infinite, but it will die down eventually. So IIR filter, if there is an input transient, the feedback will come again and again. If you look at, it's like reverberation happening again and again. Okay. So output is getting fed back. So it will go on. Of course, it will not go on forever. It will die down eventually, but theoretically it will go on for a long time. So these are the behavioral and structural presentation. Now comes to the software. Okay, guys, let's go to the software part. So what do you want your software to be? What is the specification of the software? First specification.
Sir, code size.
Code size. Before code size, what is most important?
Sir, compatible with hardware.
अरे भाई तो
Computation time.
लैंग्वेज में लिखना पड़ेगा, वो तो सही है. सॉफ्टवेयर उसका लैंग्वेज में, so okay, you have to software first specification is what? The constant is what?
Compiler.
No. Somebody said time constant. Yes. So first content software specification में first thing is the real time specification. Time constant. So time constant is depending upon the sampling frequency. So that means your software code should execute within T execution should be less than T sampling. That is number one, software specification. Then what? Bit size that should match so that there is no algorithmic error. For example, अभी जो पता है algorithm square root xn plus 1 is equal to x of n f of xn divided by f dash xn for square root. Square root means x square minus a is equal to 0. Given a, find xn. So this algorithm, if you derive, अभी derivation बताओ. आदिमुला यशवंत बताओ क्या derivation है? ये इसका जो ये स्क्वायर रूट के लिए क्या है? xn plus 1 is equal to ये रिकर्सिव फॉर्मूला है कंप्यूट के लिए स्क्वायर रूट. ओके, so this will go on till xn plus 1 xn matches. That is the convergence criteria. We'll talk about it. Don't worry about such things. So the algorithms number of bits so that there is no algorithmic error. What is algorithmic error? In this case, if the bit size is less, there may be division quantization, addition quantization. So there will be a lot of quantization errors. So the bit size, the number representation is very, very important here. In case of your in case of FIR filter, can you tell me what are the constants, how it will come? In case of FIR filters, what are the constants? The constant, most important constant is overflow. Because you are having 10th order filter, you know your yn is equal to a0 x of n plus a1 x of n minus 1, then up to a10 x of n minus 10. So these are all 8 bits. You have already chosen 8 bits. And the filter coefficients, you have to decide what is the representation of filter coefficient. These values are 8 bits all. These are the signal, 8-bit signal. And you have to decide what is the bit presentation of this. So this could be also 8 bits. If it is 8 bits and 8 bits, this also 8 bits. So there is every chance that there will be overflow. Is it not? Because you are multiplying, then adding. So therefore, range of number representation has to change. So this is called the real software design. So sometimes it is called fixed point number representation. So how will represent xn a0 such that there is no overflow? And also there should not be insignificant. Suppose xn is some value which should not be ignored also. Okay. So this is then called the software specification number 1. Number 2 is time. How much time? How will the next is how will fire the ADC? So ADC triggering, software routine for ADC securing, the different software routines. One of the routines is ADC triggering and control. Then comes the filtering. These are different modules. Then DSC. These are the different communicate to DSC. So these are the different software routines. ADC triggering is how it will trigger, because ADC needs a startup conversion, and it will give an end of conversion. How to trigger it, how to read it. So that is the ADC routine. Then after the ADC is done, then filtering. That means it has to be transferred to some memory. So then there is memory management. Memory management is such that there is a window of 10 signals you have to multiply. So filtering, one part of the filtering is memory management. And one part is computation. And DSC is just interface. So all these things, so ADC has to trigger. Triggering of ADC can be done in various ways. For example, there is something called software polling. Then timer based polling. We'll talk about each of them. So there are various ways you can do the triggering of ADC. So now I think after this is done, then you are ready for what next. You have already done the specifications. Basic specification is done. Requirement specification, then hardware and software specification. Then what? Mahina goes, then what? Just you take up the hardware and start working on it. There is one more important software specification, that is the development platform, where you will build this. This is a digital filter which when it is manufactured would look like very compact. Have you seen digital filters? The digital filters which will do, it will look very compact. It will look like this. Inside this everything is there. So signal will go in x of t and signal will come out y of t. This will be a very simple chip like this or something like this. Okay, something like this. Okay, very small one. So the digital filter will be like a box, small box. It will be written like your signal generator. Okay, digital filters you can see Bruel and Care. You write down Bruel and Care digital. You can find out ordering digital filters. You will find how they look like. To build this single chip solution, you have to do development. So therefore, you look for development boards. Platforms, both hardware and software. What is the hardware platform we are having now? Development platform. It is the Arduino 328 Uno board. So the hardware platform, hardware and software platform is, this is Arduino software, and the board is Atmega 328. This you have all already, but in real life you have to go for that board. After developing that board, then you test your algorithm, everything, then go for prototyping. So this is testing in real time. Then next is prototyping. You can do prototyping on the breadboard, the software which you have got. Then laboratory prototyping, then commercial prototyping, then commercial stress. All these things will go on. So this is all about the first class of embedded systems. I think you guys must have enjoyed this, but if you focus on this, Then you start reading the manual at Atmega 328 PDF, because tomorrow we shall give you a demo. Subhadeep Vardhan, are you there? Subhadeep Vardhan? He is not there. Tomorrow he will come and give a demo. Pooja, please take the attendance. The homework is set. You write down the specification of your smartphone very nicely. Okay. You put as much details as possible. Processor type, bit size of the processor, memory, all these things you write down. Then you post it in the Microsoft team. Okay. Any questions? Any class has any questions? You please ask me.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please tell me. Yes. Who is speaking?
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
So what is the?
What is? Please clearly ask the question.
So someone is unmuting me. I mean, muting me.
Who is muting? Nobody is muting. Go ahead.
So what is the meaning of polling?
Polling means we'll come to know what I have not told about polling. Polling means checking whether AD conversion is checking. Polling is like checking. There are many AD converters. You have to check one by one whether it is done. If it is done, then get it. So it is called polling. So checking can be done by software or hardware. By interrupt also it can be done. Timer and interrupts. We'll talk about it next class. Okay, following classes.
Thank.
Any other questions? If you have no questions, you can go, because already it is 2 minutes left. So you can leave, or you can ask further questions also.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, I am not yet added to the teams of embedded systems.
Pooja, please add him. You send a mail, your IIT mail you send. Okay, iitac.in. Okay.
Okay, sir.
I will send it again, because you perhaps there is a fresh thing. Actually, I will get it. I'll get a fresh road list and send you the link. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Sir, for the demo part, is it necessary to write the code in assembly?
Always assembly. But you can get satisfied by your C language approach, but you have to show the code in assembly. Otherwise, if you don't know assembly language, you cannot understand the architecture, details of a microcontroller. Then only you can choose a proper microcontroller. By writing in C, you cannot know what is happening. Any other question?